Well, you might wonder also, before I start, why I am dressed in this very conservative outfit. This afternoon is the Pets in the Park, where I'll be blessing about 150 pets. So I have all the regalia for this. And of course, Gary Falkenthal had to take this and do his magic with it. He said, is that first word a noun or a verb? So, so anyway, Pet Pastor Pat can mean I am the pastor of the pets, but I don't suggest you pet Pastor Pat while I'm trying to do this. I have only one request of you today. It's an important request. Go have fun. Go have fun. Make memories. Feel closer to God. Go make memories with people, with places that you feel closer to God. Especially these last few years, we've all become experts at worrying about tomorrow. You know, hanging in the back of our minds right now is what's going on in Israel, and the bombing and the kidnappings. I had a good friend, still do have, and Mickey Harp has. He is a Sabra. He was born in Israel. And I asked him at one point when something else was happening, I said, how do you live like that? How do you live in that state of never knowing? He said, there's only one way to do it. You try to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time and not in the wrong place at the right time. And so that's how people who live in constant fear and go into coffee shops and to concerts manage to take care of their fear. For them today, of course, we pray for peace. And I suggest when you go out the main door, take a look again at our peace pole outside that expresses in 8 languages and Braille and sign language. May peace prevail on earth. But this is one of the reasons I don't want you worrying today. We only have the time given to us today. Now, this results-oriented culture of ours, we have become so used to filling every single moment with work. You know, whether it's a job or volunteering, we feel obligated to produce. And really, that's what makes us enslaved to the kind of master that Jesus was talking about. That demands our every moment of our thoughts, our eyesight, our attention. As he said, no man can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So on this glorious weekend, you got a weekend for this, of changing colors, migrating birds, and last tomatoes and roses on the vine. It's time to run away from our slave masters. It's Matthew in this gospel who points out to us that we're caught in the tension between 2 poles, between the secular, earthly, and the heavenly. It's worrying about the earthly that makes us blind about all the incredible stories of God's creation that are unfolding all around us. Our worrying, for the most part, cannot solve the problems we're dealing with. You know, you all have your own set of problems. I do. But we do so much worrying. We've gotten really, really good at worrying and not much else. This is the weekend to break away. This is the weekend. Look outside. I'm going to offer you this morning a few glimpses of what lies all around you and that you might have overlooked these last few weeks. I love the autumn. I loved it enough when I was 5 years old that I used to try to make the autumn come faster, all by my 5-year-old self. In our backyard, we had a big forested hill, heavy forest. And my mother's always giving me wonderful children's books to read, and there was this one children's book that had this illustration of Jack Frost sitting on branches and painting the leaves colors. So, all sorts of vibrant colors, and I looked at it and I said, I can do that. So for many days in September that year, my mom would look to see me heading up into the woods with my watercolor paint box and a paintbrush. And I was sitting out there, apparently, trying to make the autumn arrive by painting the leaves, leaf by leaf, a little sooner than the little green leaves wanted to try and turn colors. And I remember being very proud of myself for being Jack Frost. I'd like to take this weekend and see the autumn as a metaphor for the way life really happens to all of us. Look at the brilliance of the changing colors and the changing leaves. Where did all that color come from? The truth is, it was there all along. The only thing is, in the growing season, all of those colors are covered up by the green of chlorophyll that helps the plants make food. What's there is still that color, and it comes out with the first frost. The other thing you may not know is that every tree you see today is in the process of sending all that nourishment already deep into its roots. It's preparing already for winter, so that in the spring it will have the energy to bring forth new growth, new flowers, new blossoms. That's happening now. Yeah, I know that some people really dislike autumn. They think it has something to do with a season of dying or death, but you see, nothing could be farther from the truth. Autumn is simply one season among many that is part of the spiral of life, each leading to yet another year fulfilling God's plan. Our own lives can often mirror this process. As we pass through our growing years, our maturing years, it's not uncommon for us seasoned folks, like me and a lot of people out here, to exhibit some new colors in their lives, such as growing more tolerant of other people or seeing new interests. Especially for us women, it can be a time to finally lay aside the needs of the other people in our lives and have some fun ourselves. I still belong to a church group. It started as a church group and took off from there, called the Wine Divas. And we were all of a certain age and decided about 15 years ago that we would meet once a month at somebody's house, and each of us would bring a bottle of wine. So, however, we quickly found out with the first meeting that having every single one of us bring a bottle of wine was not a good idea, and that some of us had to do a sleepover before we drove home that night. So we broke it down so 2 people would bring a bottle of wine. Over those past 15 years, though, we've weathered the seasons of our lives, creating memories and discovering the colors within each of us that we didn't know about. Well, all those years we're caring for others. Through the years, we've gone from nighttime meetings to having to move our meetings to the day so our aging eyes could not have to drive at night. We've been through the arrival of grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and also the loss of husbands, serious illnesses, and mobility issues for ourselves. But oh, those memories together. It's not the dying of our lives. It's not the dying of our lives. It's the change of seasons. It's vibrant autumn, and it's still full of memories. So what I'm asking you to do is not go out and buy wine. I'm asking you to go observe the changes happening around you. Jesus himself directs our attention to the birds of the field as an example of how God cares for us all. Now, last week, all of the hummingbirds around here that have been with us all spring and summer, they've departed. One surprised me. I took my feeder down, and I looked out the day after, and here is this bird trying to find the feeder that doesn't exist. So quickly, I had to go fill up some more food. Yeah, just think of that, though. They've gone to fly south thousands of miles to Central and Southern America. Some of them are brand new babies. They've never taken this route. How do they do that? Nobody knows. You know, the autumn light does slowly wane until it triggers in the birds the urge to fly. But the question is, how do they, as baby birds, know how to come back up here next year? Now, scientists are beginning to think they know how the baby birds are returning. It seems that when they lie in their nests at night, they study the star maps, the patterns of the stars, and their brains memorize that, and they fly until they find the right spot for that. So, one of the other mysteries that you'll see this time of year has to do with those bright little yellow birds called goldfinches that you see all summer. You can't miss them. They're everywhere. And we call them yellow canaries or wild canaries. Then in the autumn, they suddenly seem to disappear. Well, actually, if I can tell you this, the answer of where they've gone is they're still right here. Through nature, what happens is that bright yellow color on the male goldfinch in the spring and summer is part of God's plan to protect the chicks. During that summer months when the female are incubating eggs and protecting chicks, that bright yellow canaries can distract the predators from harming the chicks. And then, just like clockwork, here comes autumn. When autumn arrives, that bright yellow plumage is replaced with dull brown feathers. So these days, when you're looking and thinking you're seeing sparrows, you're not. You're seeing wild canaries. Just drab sparrows are God's protection during the winter months. You know, it's time to spend part of this weekend with its autumn chill. It feels good this time of day. To sit and look up at the sky for a while. As you do, I hope that you know that you're bound to see a monarch butterfly above you. Notice that they, too, are heading south. Now, here in our home area, monarchs have 4 or 5 generations of butterflies each year, but it's only the last generation that migrates all the way to Mexico. And there they'll reproduce their offspring, and they will find their way back to our homes here next year. Give yourself permission to do nothing, and look. You'll see so much that we all need to be grateful for. This spiral of life continues with the brilliance above us. And the gathering of strength in the very roots of these trees. So if only for this weekend, I urge you to lay aside your worry about the world, about our needs, and do what Jesus tells us. But seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Amen.